The pharaohs were the rulers of ancient Egypt during its classical period, known for their wealth, power, and divine status. But what if I told you that they had a dark secret? A secret so terrifying that it has survived for thousands of years and continues to haunt people even today. Well, let me tell you, there's no need for fancy words or spooky sound effects because this story is genuinely terrifying. And we will uncover it together. Let's jump right into it. Ancient Egyptian society was heavily influenced by religion. The pharaohs were considered to be divine rulers who had been chosen by the gods to govern over the land of the Nile. In order to maintain their connection with the divine, the pharaohs had to perform rituals and ceremonies on a regular basis. One such ceremony was the weighing of the heart. This ceremony took place during the funeral rites of the pharaohs and was designed to determine the fate of their soul. You see, ancient Egyptians believed that the human body was composed of several parts, including the heart, which they believed was the seat of the soul. It was crucial for the soul to be pure in order to be allowed into the afterlife. So, during the weighing of the heart ceremony, the deceased pharaoh's heart was weighed against the feather of truth, which symbolized justice and purity. If the heart was found to be impure, then the soul would be condemned to wander the underworld for eternity. Now here is where things get really creepy. According to legend, one pharaoh, let's call him Pharaoh Akhenaten, decided to cheat his way through the ceremony. You see, he was a bit of a narcissist and was convinced that he was the greatest pharaoh who ever lived. He believed that he was chosen by the gods and that he was destined to rule over the entire world. His obsession with himself led him to believe that he was above the rules and customs that applied to everyone else. And so, when it was time for his funeral, he decided to take a shortcut. Instead of allowing his heart to be weighed, he ordered his servants to replace it with a replica made out of gold. He believed that this would trick the gods and allow his soul to enter the afterlife without any problems. However, he was wrong. As soon as the ceremony began and his heart was placed on the scale, the feather of truth began to tremble. It was clear that the pharaoh's plan had been discovered, and he was in big trouble. But that wasn't the scariest part. As the ceremony continued, the pharaoh's replica heart began to move. At first it was just a slight movement, but it quickly became more pronounced until finally it was beating like a real heart. Everyone in the room was terrified. They watched in horror as the golden heart began to pulsate with life, and they knew that something terrible was happening. The priests tried to stop the ceremony, but it was too late. The golden heart had come to life, and it was not happy. With a loud bang, the golden heart shattered, releasing a black cloud that filled the room. Everyone screamed as the cloud approached them, and many fainted from fear. When they came to, they found themselves bound with chains. The black cloud had solidified into a creature made out of darkness, and it was the embodiment of the pharaoh's deceit and narcissism. It had been created as a punishment for his actions, and now it was loose in the world. This creature was not of this world, and it brought with it an evil unlike anything anyone had ever seen before. It began to corrupt the minds of the people, turning them against each other and causing chaos and destruction wherever it went. People could not escape its influence, and they became slaves to its evil. The creature was able to possess their bodies and control their minds, turning them into mindless drones that did its bidding. Entire families were torn apart as brothers turned on brothers, and parents betrayed their own children. The only hope for salvation lay in the hands of a young priestess named Nefertiti. She was the only one who was able to resist the creature's influence, and she set out on a quest to find a way to defeat it. Her journey was fraught with danger, and she had to face many challenges, but she refused to give up. Finally, she discovered an ancient scroll that spoke of a ritual that could banish the creature back to the underworld. However, the ritual was extremely dangerous and could only be performed by someone who was pure of heart. Nefertiti knew that she was the only one who was worthy, and so she began the preparations. She gathered the ingredients for the ritual, including a statue of the goddess Bastet, a bowl of water from the sacred lake, and a flame from the eternal flame of Ra. As the night of the ritual approached, Nefertiti prepared herself mentally and physically. She knew that she was risking her life, but she was determined to save her people. On the night of the ritual, Nefertiti entered the temple where the creature was residing. It was there that she confronted the creature, and a battle of good versus evil ensued. The creature attacked her with all its might, but she defended herself valiantly. She used the tools of the ritual to fight back, and the temple shook as the two forces clashed. But in the end, good triumphed over evil, and Nefertiti was able to banish the creature back to the underworld. However, the creature was not easily defeated. As it was banished, it swore revenge, and it promised that it would return someday. And so the legend of the creature that lurked in the shadows was passed down through the ages, serving as a warning to those who dared to defy the gods. But the creature was not done with the world of the living just yet. It waited patiently in the underworld, gathering strength for its return. It bided its time, watching as the centuries passed and the world changed around it. But it knew that eventually it would have its chance to strike back. And so the legend of the creature that lurked in the shadows continued to live on. People spoke of it in hushed tones, and many believed that it was nothing more than a myth. But those who knew the truth lived in fear, always wondering when the creature would return, for they knew that when it did, it would be even more powerful than before. So, what can we learn from this story? The story of Pharaoh Akhenaten and the creature that lurked in the shadows teaches us the importance of humility and the dangers of narcissism. Akhenaten's belief that he was above the rules and customs that applied to everyone else led to his downfall and the suffering of countless others. It also shows us the power of good over evil, as represented by the young priestess Nefertiti. Through her courage and determination, she was able to save her people from the creature's evil. But perhaps the most important lesson we can learn from this story is to never underestimate the power of fear. The creature that lurked in the shadows was able to bring darkness and despair to the world simply by preying on people as fears and doubts. It reminds us that fear is a powerful force that can be used for evil, and we must always be aware of its potential to corrupt us. As we come to the end of this tale, we are left with a sense of relief that good triumphed over evil, but also with a warning to never forget the lessons of the past. The creature may have been banished to the underworld, but its legacy lives on in the hearts and minds of those who remember its reign of terror. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the world of the ancient Egyptians. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss out on our latest videos. We have plenty more terrifying tales to share with you, and we would love for you to be a part of our community. Until next time, stay safe and keep an eye out for any strange creatures lurking in the shadows.